Okay. Midnight Discovery in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's open to the public, 5 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, depending on the day. You can also call down here, 2500 Sutherland Avenue, talking about cryptocurrency right now and seeing what's going on in the world. Okay. Patrick, you want to open, or Sean, you want to open?
I'll open up. Just let me pull up some.
Not sure, by the way. Go PPA.
Oh, heck yeah.
Supporting a good cause.
I'm just pulling some up.
So,
NIO
there you
has
go.
been on the rise, and definitely something to check out. One of the reasons that make it so advantageous, and Keller can tell you more about this specifically, is the cost structure and this limited supply. So.
Oh, well, I'll wait.
All right, so
What you doing, Patrick?
I'm pulling up my Facebook page real quick.
Well, actually, before we get going on that, do either one of y'all have any questions about? Before we go, I want to give a special shout out. Do you mind standing for a second?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to give a special shout out here to Randy Jones, local business entrepreneur. He's here in Knoxville, Tennessee, working in the incredible tiny home industry, making dreams come true, getting people into houses and so forth. And he's currently, for those who are interested, he's currently selling a home for Ethereum, priced in Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Neo Coin. So if you're interested in grabbing an incredible tiny home and you'd like to pay in cryptocurrency, Randy wants to get the cryptocurrency, and one way you can get that cryptocurrency to him is by purchasing a home and agreeing to pay in crypto.
Exactly. Yep, we'd like to be the first in the nation to sell a home with the cryptocurrency.
That is awesome.
That's an excellent goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
And if people want to contact you,
Yeah, call me at 423-839-4558, or you can go to our website. It's Incredible Tiny Homes. Everything I have is Incredible Tiny Homes. The mail, the info at Incredible Tiny Homes, our website, our Facebook, Incredible Tiny Homes. We do a show on Wednesdays and Friday nights. And you'll be able to compare our homes with homes in the industry and how less expensive our homes are. I believe the industry is overinflated because of the popularity. So if you look at our prices, take it apples for apples. And then also, we do so many videos, so many pictures, that it gives us credibility. And your investment, because you're not in Knoxville and you're not seeing them built, physically touch them, we give all this credibility through video, through photos, and it's massive, the information that you get. And we supply that on a daily basis. So when you invest with us, and we have a great reputation already, over the course of 2 years, we built over 70 homes. And we're on the course of this year building 70 in 1 year. So we're an up and coming, growing company. We've got a lot of people behind us, so it gives us some credibility. And also being on HGTV, DIY, we've been on HLN, CNN, featured on the local newscaster here in Knoxville. We've been on all the TV networks probably about 8 or 10 times.
And what are some reasons that someone might want an incredible tiny home?
Well, first of all, because of the price. I mean,
Sure,
everybody,
sure.
they end up saying because of the price. And then our quality, we do a spray foam closed cell insulation on all our homes. We do a lot of reclaimed lumber. We also do an off-grid package.
Oh, okay.
You can go completely off-grid. All this, a lot of green, mostly green materials what we use on everything we do. And we're also going to be 20 to 50,000 less than your competitor that's doing the same thing. And it's only because of the inflated market. And me as a business guy and a builder, I look at it and I said, there's a niche. What's my niche? I can't just sell a home like everybody else. We're all building homes in there. We're all selling for 90,000. What are we going to do? We're going to start competing, right? I'm going to give a sink. I'm going to give more quality, a bigger for less. What I do is I come down and I cut everybody's legs off at once. I'm cutting everybody's legs off and I'm giving it for half. And you're going to say, well, I can't make any money. The only reason I can make it for less is because I'm making less. So the only way I make more is I build more volume and I make more money. But that's more headaches for me, it's more liabilities for me, but for some reason I'm built that way. So I don't care to build 10 to your 1. So
Right.
that's how I'm hitting the market. It's really basic economics, but because I have the energy and the want to do it, there's nobody going to outwork me, and that's how I see it.
What are some of the styles that people have been getting?
Our styles. My first home was a Hobbit house. It had a green ivy all over it. It was featured on HGTV. It was featured on CNN. It went really nationwide when we first built it. So we do themed homes. We got a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs home we're doing with a thatch roof. It'll have a grass. It'll actually look like a Thomas Kincaid portrait.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and then we're gonna do
Yeah.
we do
That's
a
so
metal
cool.
modern looking. We also do a South Pacific one with a palm frond roof. And actually, I tell everybody, give me a picture of what you want, and we build it.
Okay. And if you want a $40,000 24-foot incredible tiny home, you can pay 875 Litecoin, 825 Neo, 150 ETH, or 9 Bitcoin. There's 4 homes for sale for 4 different cryptocurrencies. Must be paid in those cryptocurrencies alone. Payments every Monday. For a custom-built home, it's 50% down, followed by smaller payments after that. Or if the home's already made and you like the one that he's already built, then you can just buy it. You can buy it immediately. So if you're interested in that and helping Randy get his incredible tiny home message out, and if you're helping him get invested into the crypto space, then talk to him and give him a call.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And then regarding getting into crypto, so have some of your employees mentioned anything about it, or are they just sort of here and there with it?
Yeah, not
Just
right, not really.
They're here and there at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the entrepreneur, whatever the case, that's the person who's
Yeah,
going to go
I don't think they
first.
would say, "Hey, I'm going to pay your paycheck in crypto at the end of the week." You know,
They're not going to do
they're
that,
not
huh?
doing that yet,
Oh,
you know?
okay, not
Yeah.
yet.
But I was
well,
thinking,
but once the crypto's more than their paycheck, then maybe they change their
Well, you know,
mind.
Especially
me-
if you can lock it in today's
yeah,
rates.
I think I'm in a great position to trade coins because in my life right now, I'm a new company building and growing.
Yeah.
So, you know, when 08 hit, you know, man, I took a massive hit in 08 and 09. I had a big resort in Pigeon Forge and lost everything. And so now that I'm coming back, you know, I'm thinking, you know what, I want to look into something a little bit different. And I think, I'm not for sure, but for me, common sense would tell you, you know what, let's trade in some Bitcoins instead of what we've been doing all of our lives. You know, and I think maybe that's the interest in Bitcoin. I know that's my interest. I'm like, we all want to be diversified in our investments.
Yeah, I
So
do
my
too.
diversification is, I don't want to go into the stock market again.
Right.
I'm ready to take off in some of the Bitcoin, and I think it's neat. I think it's the future, and I don't know anything about what the economics or the future of all this is, and I'm just learning it. But you can tell by the popularity, you can tell by what's going on with the buzz about it.
Yeah.
So if we can all invest in what we're doing is we're all dabbling in it,
Right,
so
right,
we don't
right.
lose our whole kitty for it, you know.
Yeah.
But me
Well,
personally,
some of us are the opposite, but yeah, some of us have
Yeah.
a whole kitty in it.
well,
Oh,
personally,
man.
me, I don't have anything. I'm like, you know what? I can build a house, and I got value built in it. So why not trade it in Bitcoin while I'm still trading to pay and buy groceries?
Yes.
I'll come over here and try to build my, you know,
And,
It's a
and,
great
and
investment.
then likewise, if you have a lot of Bitcoin, why not buy a house?
exactly.
Or if you're not interested in living in the house, get a rental, Airbnb rental.
Yes.
And then you got a spare home whenever you need it.
I'd like to see, to me, I don't know if we can do it, but I would like to see how these coins can be traded for more and more merchandise.
Uh-huh.
And I think the more people that do what I'm doing, they're going to trade. So
Yeah.
you can imagine
That's
if
true.
I do really well with Bitcoins
Yes.
and sell homes,
Yes.
there's going to be people jump on board.
You're right.
Yeah.
And
sure.
we'll do different stuff. I'll start selling. We can buy our heating and air, our water heaters, and little things we're buying directly from the manufacturers. Like we're getting them straight from the manufacturer.
Yeah,
We bypass Lowe's. We bypass your local builders. We go straight to the manufacturer, either in China or somewhere. We're going straight in there. We're buying them right out of their factory, which our costs are like cutting them. So we can do a solar package that used to
Right.
be 10 to 15 grand. We can put it for 4 or 5.
Now something to just kind of keep out there, and I'm not sure if we've actually discussed this in fully, but one thing that I've thought about doing is in the Bitcoin community we get miners,
Yeah.
and they get your house super hot and they're kind of noisy.
Right.
I thought about maybe getting some of these incredible tiny, some of the other type of models and putting some miners in there. That's
You
another
could do
that's a
that.
story for another day.
But more importantly, like having solar powered miners that just sit there
Yes,
and
solar
earn their own
powered miners.
income.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
That's an idea there for sure.
But anyways,
Well,
moving
see,
on.
well, we're looking into the solar because a lot of our customers want to be off
Yeah.
grid.
Mhm.
Solar, we just had a customer call in from Iowa, and he had a bid to put on a home, 28-foot home,
Yeah.
15 grand,
Oh,
just to put on a tiny house.
Mhm.
I can maximize what he's got, apples for apples,
Yeah.
double what he's putting on there for $8,000.
that's awesome.
Cut
Wow.
it. That's
That's
the
awesome.
markup in the
Right.
solar. A lithium battery.
Yeah.
A lithium battery we're looking at is about $10,000 to $12,000.
Mhm.
We're getting it a fraction of that cost, because everybody in the market is inflating it. It's just like
it's in high
the
demand.
tiny home movement. People think, well, hey, let's just inflate it because we can. Until somebody wants to come in, like again, and cut the legs off everybody.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
and say, you know what? We're starting a new world here. There's no reason why in the world. You know what? It's just like 08 that took us out.
Mhm.
Inflation and
Yeah,
greed took us out.
Pretty much.
You know, why do that now? Haven't we learned from it? So I'm going and I'm saying, you know, I need to make a living. Let's be smarter about what we do business instead of just raise prices. If I want to make more money, I
Better
just
for the
don't raise
consumer.
the price. It's like you're going to have taxes. If we got to have more streets paved, we got to have more stuff for our schools, and we don't have the money, they say raise the taxes, and everybody gets mad. What we want to do is be smarter about our money. There's a million ways of making money. These bitcoins came up from people who want to make money a smarter way. So that's how I see it. I'm kind of excited about the whole theory behind everything.
Yeah. So, Barrett, do you have any questions or anything like that? Any topics you're more interested in?
No.
How's Barrett doing this week?
Barrett's doing pretty good.
Is he happy?
Alright.
I heard you got some Neo coming to you. Is that right?
Possibly. I know a guy.
You know a
I
guy.
know a guy.
You know he knows a
There's
guy.
a guy with Nia?
That's awesome.
He knows a
Sounds
guy
like
with
good guy to
Neo.
know.
Owes him some Neo. All right.
Alright.
Well, anyways, Sean, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Not right now. I'll just
Any-
jump in on the Neo
What
conversation.
is
which we'll
your
discuss.
anything you've been researching lately into crypto?
Today I swapped all my miners away from SIA into Decred. So the Claymore mining software allows you to dual mine both
Right.
Ethereum and then either Library, Pascal, Decred, or SIA.
Mm-hmm.
So I swapped from SIA to Decred. I think SIA's got just too much competition with like storage. There's a couple of other coins at least that are basically more popular and better platforms. And the SIA again is saturating the market with coins, so the value of them is never really going to be too high. So yeah, I think Decred's a good project. We'll see how it goes.
Cool.
All right.
Patrick, you ready?
Yeah, I've been ready.
All right. Let's hear him.
All right. So the big mover this past 2 weeks would be Neo, formerly
Fuck
known
yeah.
as 8 shares.
Right.
Our company invested quite a large percent in Neo recently.
We did.
Cheers to that. Yeah.
In general, we felt that it was going to move. So what came to our decision is we felt that Neo, when it changed from Air shares, was Neo 2.0. And here's the white paper and how we kind of picked out the movability of it. So Neo, what we have is Neo compared to Ethereum. So we have two blockchains, which is just an accounting ledger. Most people know this. So it's a ledger of accounts, and it's blocks and how much transactions can fit on a block. That's kind of how blockchain works. We all kind of understand that. Neo, how is it compared to Ethereum? Well, we have a couple of different comparisons. Neo can run on any computer language. So when we're talking about Ethereum, it has Solidarity. Well, Neo has Solidarity, plus it has C++, it has C, it has Python. I mean, we can go on and on. It's actually compatible with all these
Same.
languages.
Same.
And the reason that's good is because instead of having computer programmers that already know a language, do they have to learn Solidarity to get in to make a blockchain system? No, with Neo you do not. You can already use pre-understood computer languages to develop an app.
Now, and just so people know, Ethereum will eventually be able to get there, but it's eventually.
Yeah,
Correct.
Not
It might be 4 months away. It could be a year away. You
Could be
never
with
really
Casper,
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
never
never know when this is going to happen, and we don't know.
But Neo has it today.
We have it today, and we don't know the political pull of Neo. I mean, Ethereum. We don't know what's going on there
Right,
with
right.
miners. Miners, there's big money in mining.
Mhm.
Ethereum's paying $150 million a month to pay out miners. That's kind of a big pull for miners not to want to switch to all these different things.
It's
to
really
start
almost even 200 million. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a ton of money.
So
It's
as
a ton of money.
Ethereum goes up, the more we pay out miners. So let's just
Right,
put it
right,
that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
All right. So Neo has. So what we got now going on with Neo is, when you own Neo, you get passive income, and that comes in the form of gas. And there's a big deal of owning Neo early. So what happens is you get paid 4%.
You got
4%
your
gas almost immediately, and within your first 4 years, you get 52% of the gas that Neo is going to make. Every Neo is going to make one gas over 22 years. So in the first 4 years, you're going to get 52% of that. So you're literally going to get a half a gas for every Neo you own in the first 4 years. The the next 18 years, you're going to get the other 48%.
Now, just so people know, this is something that's hard to think about there.
Mhm.
You get that gas minimum.
Correct, minimum.
Plus
plus
transaction-
transaction fees, and we're going
Right.
to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're talking about the reason we bought it and we want to own it early is because we're getting the most gas in the first 4 years. This is passive income. If you own, let's just say you own, we'll give an even number, you own 1,000 Neo. Within the first 4 years, you're going to get 5,200 gas. I mean 520 gas. And if you're talking about the price of gas right now, that's 20
35
bucks.
bucks
35
almost.
bucks now.
It's fucking. It's an
Wow.
ass ton.
Well, let's just go with even numbers. We'll just say 30.
30 is
Okay,
fine, yeah.
30. You're looking at 15 grand of passive income over 4 years,
Dude,
which that's just
great.
basic.
I love
okay?
that shit.
So that's your initial investment, and then Neo goes up. Okay, so the price of Neo goes up, and you're getting 52% gas. So after 4 years,
Boom.
you could sell your Neo. You made 15 grand on just holding it,
Yeah.
and then you actually have the cost of the Neo, which you can exchange for money as well. Also, when we talk about Neo, we have dApps already. So one of their big play is that if you're a dApp on Ethereum, you can port over to Neo with nothing. I mean, it's literally just in
Copy
theory.
paste.
In theory, you can copy paste, but they already have. So already one dApp's already come over to Neo. It's called Addix. They
Okay.
came over. They've already ported, and then their price has soared already just for being on Neo.
Right,
I don't know if
I know.
I don't know if that's speculative or just.
Well, yeah, like maybe not investing in the dApp, but the idea that if you have something on Ethereum that's successful,
yeah.
Mhm.
you do copy, paste,
Yes.
and you make millions by putting it onto Neo. It's not really a complex.
It's
issue.
not a complex thing to think about when you're talking
Copy
about.
paste millions.
Yeah, when you're talking
Okay.
And
about.
that's because Solidity is a
Solidity
It works
is
on
compatible.
Neo.
Okay.
It works on
Neo.
Neo.
That makes sense.
So what we're talking about here is, if you can think about it just in terms, if you have an app on Android and you want it on iPhone, you copy and paste it and put it on the iPhone App Store. That's basic.
Boom.
But now they can't do that because the codes aren't compatible.
Right. It's
But
not
if
that
you
easy
could,
now.
you would just do it automatically.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing we have is reasons we thought is we got a date coming up, so you need to mark this in your calendars. October 16th, 2017
Super important.
is when
Yeah.
Neo, this coin we own, and we'll talk about Barrett. We'll make sure
Yeah.
you got hold of this. Is when they're going to release. They're going to be able to release. The developers have a lot of money because they all
Yeah.
keep a share of their own company, like every company. I'm sure you got your share of your company. They're able to sell their shares on that date.
Right.
Which means, since the supply has not changed since Neo's come out at 50 million, there will be a new supply of Neo, which could drop the price. I'm not saying it'll be forever, but it could.
Could.
All right, so that's another thing. So how this one works is called a decentralized Byzantine fault tolerance, and that's a big word.
Shit.
So we have a big word for all this
I hate
means.
these big
All
words.
this means is fault tolerance means what? Fault tolerance is something you put in to make sure that if you have a fault, your system can tolerate it and not shut down. It's the same with your tiny houses. You probably have fault tolerances when you build for weight on the house. You say, well, the weight can hold this, but we also overbuild it. So if anything happens, it's not going to collapse. So fault tolerance is that. You also have it on your electricity. Electricity has a breaker.
Yeah.
If you put too
that's
much
right.
power through it, the breaker shuts off and doesn't
Right.
doesn't heat up the wire in your wall and burn down your house. That's
So
a
Neo
fault
has
tolerance.
something?
Yeah, it's a Byzantine fault tolerance. So what happens is there's nodes. So every node looks at other nodes and says, hey, this is the right blockchain or account ledger, because there's faulty people who may want to try to break into the account ledger and
Mhm.
say, your wallet only has 5 of them and my wallet has 1 million.
Oh, okay.
So if you put that in there, and they didn't have this fault tolerance, the system would shut down and say, hey, there's some illegal stuff going on. There's somebody trying to put in dishonest code in here. So what it does is look at other nodes, and everyone starts comparing the ledger. And once you get, really it's n minus 1, which is the amount of nodes,
Gotcha.
minus 1 divided by 3. That's
Okay.
math. But
Okay.
all it says is you have to take over 1/3 of the nodes,
Yes.
minus 1, to change the whole ledger.
I see.
Right now there's 500 nodes. So
Oh, okay.
with that you would have to take over almost 200 nodes. You would have to take over 200 nodes simultaneously, change the ledger to get to be
Right.
dishonest. And
And
what
the
the-
ledger's updated every 22 seconds.
22
roughly.
seconds. So you have to
Right.
really bombard it, and it costs 1,000 gas to get a node. So we're talking about 35 grand.
Oh, is that right?
times-
1,000 gas to get
Yeah,
a node? I
yeah.
didn't fucking know that.
That's one of the purposes.
Yeah.
of
Oh
gas.
shoot!
So it
I
takes it-
fucking want gas now.
No.
Damn it!
You have to pay it.
I know. Oh wait, you have to pay 1,000 gas.
Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
you're not
Then you have to
staking.
know. You don't
I
stake
take
it.
that back.
You never
I
get it.
take that
Stake
back.
it.
I take it back.
It's 35,000.
So what
for
we're talking
transaction
about
fees.
staking? Staking is just saying like I have gold and I stake it over here. So let's just say I'm a bank
Put
and,
money
and I
down.
stake my gold. And,
Deposit.
and when I take that gold, then people can borrow against my gold, right? And then all the interest comes to me because I'm staking the actual money and I'm taking the risk. So staking something is like saying I have gold, I'm going to stake it against the loans that go in and out, but I get all the interest. So if you have trustworthy people taking loans, which is the computer makes it trustworthy, so you can't really lose your stake really in this kind of world, you will get transaction fees on all the transactions. So it's like owning the credit card machine. When you go take the credit card and you that 3% transaction fee,
Yeah.
it's split against
You can
everyone
own
who
that
owns
shit
it.
if
You
you
can
want to.
own it. So what happens is but this is how this is how Neo works. Every node will get a percent of that, but every Neo holder actually gets a percent too.
Oh, okay. Do you
So-
know what the percent breakout is? I was.
They haven't
curious
put
about
it out yet because
okay.
they're not that far. But
Yeah.
so if you own a node, let's just say you own a lot of gas.
I'm
and
thinking
you own
about
a lot of
owning a
Ethereum.
damn node.
You
man.
own a node, you'll get transaction
want to?
fees,
I don't
and then every
think so.
Neo gets
Huh.
a transaction
I
fee.
fucking- I like
So
the
every
idea of
time
owning a
something
node.
happens on the network, you get a transaction fee.
Yeah,
And that
yeah, I
transaction
know.
fee is
I do.
gas. You know about gas. So gas comes to you. Well, that makes you either one, able to carry out more transactions for free, or you actually just get cash. The same kind of notion. Then the next thing we have is Neo has this Neo X. So this is their big theory on the Neo X part of Neo.
I haven't heard about this.
It's interchangeable on chains. It means chains will be able to actually interact with other chains. So if you have IOTA, which is like
Oh, yeah.
Internet of All Things, it's a chain and it's a different kind of blockchain.
I love that.
But these two could connect to each other, so you could change coins on the change and not on Bittrex or something. So say I wanted to
Oh.
carry out a smart contract. If you can carry out a
Oh.
smart contract and Neo can carry out a smart
Oh
contract,
shit,
you can interchange your smart contracts.
that's nuts.
and
I wonder
so
what the
that's
rate
their
would be,
one of their
yeah.
plans.
And that's because they can accept all languages.
Yes,
is why
correct.
they can do that.
If
yeah.
they can
Right.
accept all languages, it means all these chains can interact.
Right,
It's kind of a big
that's
deal,
a-
and we thought, hey, that's a good idea. Invest.
Right.
The other thing that's coming out is what we got going on right now.
And just for
is-
the record, when we decide to invest, we just flip a coin. We don't fucking do all this stuff.
yeah.
We do this after we make the money, and then we gotta justify it. Alright, go.
Honestly, this
That's a
is
smart way to do it.
This
right?
is how I felt about it. I looked a lot of this stuff up, not into this detail, but I saw a lot of the information
Yeah,
on Red
yeah.
Log forums, and then we
Yeah.
kind of went in, and then Keller just copied and pasted me. So
Oh
he's
no!
the Neo.
I was the one who defended
Ready,
it.
fire, aim.
I was
I'm
the
the
one who
Ethereum-
defended it. I came up with it.
I'm the Ethereum, and Keller's the Neo.
Yeah, that more or less. All right. Okay.
So,
oh, I
the
see
next
what you're
part-
saying. Yeah, he's messing with me.
Yeah.
He's doing blockchain jokes.
Yep.
Blockchain jokes.
So the
All right.
next thing we have about the next thing we really liked about Neo was this passive income. So most of the time in my crypto portfolio, we want passive income. We don't have to do anything. We make money. So before there wasn't really passive income. It was a
Right.
stake, a form of stake, which is buy mining equipment. So
Right.
Sean staked $8,000 into mining equipment, something,
Mhm.
and he's making money back, or 5. Sorry, I apologize.
I wish, yeah.
But he's
I might
taking-
invest another 3.
But he's
Got talking
invested
into it.
money, but he's actually making money passively now until his electricity cost goes down, but he pays it and then he
Yeah.
gets money,
Unfortunately.
which is still a good thing. It's still a good investment. He's making money because the price of crypto goes up and he makes more money. But the reason it's passive on this is all we do is we put our coins in the wallet and we generate gas. So the idea now of a long-term portfolio is finding cryptos that give us passive income. And we'll talk about more of those later. The next thing we
I
have
like
is
that.
we have ICOs coming out in October on Neo, which means ICOs usually generate
It's in
the price
October?
go high.
Is when they're
Yes.
coming out?
Yeah, already. Well, you can do a pre-sale. But October 1st. So there's a time crunch here. Possibly more Neo being released, price maybe go down, but also ICOs coming out. ICOs are initial public offers. You know what the stock markets are? Instead of initial public offers in crypto, it's called an ICO. You can pay the money up front and you get a percent larger return on your money. Like now, if I invest in the Redcoin ICO and I invest early, I get 1.4 times my money or 40% extra.
Really? So
So-
what they'll typically do, a typical rate is 30% bonus on pre-sale.
Yeah.
20% on like day 1 through day for the first week, and then they might go down 10, 5%, and then once it's on the market, there's obviously no bonuses. It's 1 for 1.
It's 1 for
Right.
I'll
1.
be darned.
And
So-
so
Okay.
what this does is it doesn't let the capital people in Wall Street who have a lot of money go up to the most recent IPO would be Snapchat and so hey we're gonna value your stock. We're gonna get all these people in here. We value your stock at $12. We'll pay $12 a share. We'll put 40 million because we're getting it for a price cut.
Mhm.
And then it hits the market and it goes to $19 and then they sell their stock at $19. They made $5 on every share. They made $5 million just for backing the company.
So one thing I want to emphasize with the ICOs that's been really tremendous, like if you wanted to raise $300 million or $20 million,
Yeah.
how much effort might that require on your part?
God.
An almost unbelievable amount.
Yeah.
But to raise $20 million with an ICO where anyone in the world can invest in you,
Seconds.
well, people have been doing it in, weeks and seconds depending on what's going on. So
40-page white paper.
So,
right?
so these ICOs before, that's fair enough. But these IPOs, really, when you talk about stocks, but these IPOs before, they had to promise investors 20, 30, 40 times their investment in order to get the 500 million that they have to get. Now, when you talk about the world in general, they're happy with 30%. Let's call it instant growth. The world in general is happy with 30% instant growth. But when you talk about the Wall Street barons and the international moneylenders, well, they have a world of options, and they have so much control and legal leverage to prevent you from doing whatever you're doing, and so they require humongous percents of growth, which effectively make you undervalue your asset. Whereas when you offer your asset to the public at large, surprisingly will give you a fair value, or
And
30%
what we're-
instant return, and they're happy.
Yeah, and what we're talking about here is so Redcoin's coming out. It's a Chinese company. It's basically investment advice. You pay coins to people you like to follow and get investment advice from. Okay, so people will go out there and make content. So how do you pay for people on their content on YouTube? They get subscribers. YouTube pays them for their content. This is just a decentralized one where people will pay you for your content directly in these coins called Red Coins. So the more you are, better investment advice, better things you put out, like content on Neo. Like now, if I put this video on Redcoin, if I was a Redcoin user, someone may tip me a Redcoin or two. For my content.
It's like
For this
Steemit.
amazing
Yeah, it's
content.
like Steemit,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's just like Steemit.
Yeah. And
Copy
what,
paste,
and what we're talking
hesitate.
about here
It's all good.
is China. We're not going to be upfront or down about it. China's great at copying stuff and doing it for cheaper. We all know this. They've done it for the past 100 years. We know this.
They're more efficient.
And
Yes.
for the record, China's also good at coming up with their original stuff too.
They
China,
are.
China
I'm
has
not
a lot.
saying that bad.
Yeah, right. China has a lot to offer the world.
Correct.
However, if you can copy something and not take away from what they did
Mhm.
and add value to society, as far as I'm concerned, I will say personally, I love just copying what other people do and making an ass ton of money from it. I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
And if I'm benefiting the world at large and not really, I'm not taking away too much from this other person, it's fine by me. So
I think travelers.
so
have done that since the
knockoffs and all this.
beginning of time.
I frankly hate copyright rules. I hate patents. Frankly, I just say let society get as good as society can get.
Yeah.
Don't try to stop it from advancing.
Correct. We all know this
What-
because of drugs, and people have copyrights on drugs, and people can't get their drugs,
Right.
and then they copy
And that's
it.
bullshit.
then
And I say kill them.
we're not going that far.
Calm
But
down
it-
now.
That's just my
calm down.
opinion.
Whoa there, Kelly.
All right. So back to this Redcoin. So what's important about Redcoin is they are literally saying you must invest in this ICO with Ant shares. They're only taking Ant shares or Neo.
Mhm.
So that could. This is the whole price thing because we're here to make money. Some people we told you we came for the revolution. We're here to make money now, right?
Exactly.
So we're here for the revolution, but we're here to make money too. So
Yeah,
Redcoin.
you do both.
So yeah, you can do both at the same time. All right. So the price may go down because Ant shares might be or Neo might be released on the market, which supply goes up and demand has to meet that supply to keep the price the same.
Right.
But with Redcoin, they're going to take some of the supply out in the ICO. We hope. I'm personally not going to invest in the ICO. One, because it's mostly in Chinese, and it might be a Chinese site, which means if I get on there and I'm speaking English, I'm not going to get many red coins possibly.
Yeah.
And it is red coin, and it's very like the ICO is very like make
You're being
China
unique.
great again type of mantra on the
Yeah,
site.
make China great again. I fucking love China, but going on.
Mac-
I love all the people's worlds, frankly.
And we have Allegro. Is it not Allegro? I forgot the name of the ICO, but they're also
It's close to Allegro.
Allegrum or something.
Allegra.
Anyhow, it's another ICO. They're taking ant shares. They're taking other forms of currency, but they are taking Neo. I keep calling it ant shares. They call it Neo. So these are the things that are going on with Neo. That's why we see a bright future for Neo. The only things that can stop Neo. So we're going to go to the cons because we talked it up. We're not going to just say, hey, buy Neo.
Mm-hmm.
We believe in Neo, but things that can bring it down. It is in China. I'm somewhat worried that if the Chinese government gets involved, or some kind of Chinese entities get involved, it could be good or bad. It could be a currency of China, which would definitely be very favorable, but it also could be taken over by a Chinese government official. It becomes bureaucratic. They start milking or skimming off the top, which is known. And if you know anything about China, that does happen. We're not saying anything bad about it. We just know their government can sometimes do this.
Yeah, American government too, but there you go.
Agreed.
Sure.
But definitely
China, you hear about it more.
Correct.
The bureaucracy is heavy in China. This
Yeah.
is
For
a side note. If you ever watch Chinese films, there's a great film. I forget what it's called now, but essentially the entire film. If you're familiar with the Overcoat story, which is the Russian story, but in this Chinese film, it's basically a man suffers through 40 years to try to get through a piece of red tape, and once he gets through this piece of red tape, he feels like he just accomplished the most important thing in his life ever. So all he wanted to do in the film is make a park, but this took him 40 years because of all the red tape.
Okay.
Wow.
Side story.
Well,
I know it's
about China. I don't
It
know.
is, it
I
is.
assume it's true. It's made by Chinese man.
So
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah,
So
there's
we're
a-
talking about Neo and bad stuff. So we're talking about Chinese government. We also have that their shares, Neo shares, will go on the market. We also have that Neo has a great trajectory and great theories and stuff, but it hasn't been implemented. And will the devs? We feel that sometimes the devs in Ethereum have gotten laxed, or feel that they made enough money. So maybe after October they make enough money to where they become complacent about their technology.
Keep
But-
hungry.
But we also feel better about it because of the head, because Hong Hyung,
Mm-hmm.
he's an older
I like this
gentleman.
guy.
He's not 23.
Hey,
offense.
nothing against 23-year-olds. Yeah.
Well, we're saying if I was a 23-year-old and you just showed me my bank account with 150 million, I might take a cruise.
Well, I'll just say,
I think I would.
Now, I don't consider
I would
Vitalik
have
at all
at
greedy
least.
in any
No,
sense.
we're not saying he's.
I know, but yeah, so he's 23.
We're
But just so my feeling on this is when I deal with business owners and stuff, when I talk to a younger versus an older person, younger people seem to be less emotionally attached to money, whereas older people they will have emotional reactions to money. And then also older people tend to be more willing to evaluate someone's worth, tell them what to do, help someone improve. They might have had children and raised children already. When you talk with younger folk tend to not want to tell someone else what to do, which when it comes to managing a business, you don't want that. You want someone who is willing to be a boss, to be the boss.
Yeah.
You don't want someone who wants to be the doormat as the boss.
And
It's true.
the last point is
Yeah.
we definitely are invested in Neo. We definitely think it's a good product. The things they've already put out have been very good. Just their general timeline, how they put things out. They're not even. They're a little bit. I believe they're a little bit older than Ethereum slightly, but I feel that it's a good product. I feel that it's safe, secure. I feel the devs on the team are very. Honestly, I feel that they're very well placed. The things that we look for are we looking for financial analysts on the team. We're looking to see how much payout's going out to pay, and when you stake, the payout doesn't have to be as much because you didn't have to put $8,000 into a miner. and then
Yeah.
miners have to
Right.
stay up and be incentivized. If I have to just stake my coins, I don't need that much incentive to put my coins into
Yeah,
my
okay,
wallet,
I
right,
follow
and
you.
hold it.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing is about inflation. So that's why we took it as a good product, and we're still sticking with it. We might sell, like some of us might sell maybe 10% of our thing and get more liquid and become more diverse in our portfolio before
Right.
the October 16th, because
Okay.
that's kind of a
Now,
time.
side note, what I've been, if you,
I'm not
Go-
saying everybody, I'm just saying for me,
yeah,
I
regard-
might feel
Take you a lot.
more, take some of my money out of it and
I,
sell.
I'm just going to make a recommendation.
Mhm.
Consider IOTA.
We're considering IOTA. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about parlaying our money
IOTA.
from some project
Parlay.
to another. We're all talking about we all want to be millionaires and Lambo and hashtag, right? But the real way to do it,
righteous.
the real way to do it is to take chunks and make money and look smart investments every single time we go into it.
Right.
Take our profits, put it into another project that we think will do well,
It
and,
is-
and diversify our funds.
So do you
Right.
think it's better if I buy Bitcoin, should I also propose marriage to Bitcoin and hold it for life no matter what?
And see my whole thing is you always want to
It's
take.
pretty beautiful.
It is a beautiful thing. We like Bitcoin. We like all blockchains. We're not a blockchain fan of it. We hate on blockchains. We love all the blockchains. I just think that some blockchains are more stable, which means more safe. And I'm always a fan of taking
Right.
some of your profits and putting it Bitcoin because you know that it's somewhat stable. If Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. So that's kind of like
Sure.
the U.S. government. If the U.S. government goes down, the world economy goes to hell.
Yes.
So are you going to trust the U.S. government? You got to put trust somewhere.
Okay, so if I was to give some more cons to Neo in terms of some of the aspects that I look out for Neo. So one thing is Neo has risen pretty quickly. It's a good pace. I do feel personally that it's fairly stable at the price it's at. But do I see Neo going to $200 next week? I don't. Maybe it will, but just
Where's your confidence?
right. So when I look at Bitcoins, my personal goal is there potential for a 300% return within about 3 months? If you can get about 300% return in 3 months, then I feel the price is quite stable. Because most people who are into the crypto space, just like I was mentioning with these IPOs and stuff, the people who are serious investors, they really like to get, you might just call it insane returns. Like for common folk would consider like 1,000% a year as an insane return.
300% in 3 months is just rocket
Well,
ship.
about 1,000% return.
Yeah.
But Neo, we got that when we invested in it, and just to be clear, we invested it in around $15. A lot of us, and it's $50 just 2 weeks later, let alone 3 months later.
Right.
So we got like 300% returns in a couple weeks. A lot of us. Now we also got 100% returns because we bought some more at $25 or whatever.
Yeah.
So. But in either case, so when like Patrick was saying, you look for safe spots to park your money. In crypto land, I only consider it safe if I can predict that I feel like there's a fair potential for a 300% return in a fairly short amount of time. Because in crypto land, it just moves quick.
How do you make that judgment?
And
Well, yeah, you got to evaluate all kinds of things.
this is what Keller says, but this is how I view it, and this is how I think investors should view it. If I have, let's just do a roundabout, we'll just say $10,000.
Yeah.
I can buy it. Let's just say we'll just say the price of Bitcoin is 5,000 at this point. We'll all safe
Yeah, yeah.
numbers, and Ethereum is 200. We know
Yeah.
it's not that.
Sure.
I buy 2 Bitcoin, and it goes down 10%, right? So we
Yes.
have 10%.
Yeah.
$10,000 down to $9,000.
$9,000, right? If I buy literally, and I'm talking about money, and I won't even do percent because the percent's equal
sure,
the
sure,
same.
sure.
So if I say Bitcoin goes down by $100, right? Because that's normal. So it goes down $100. I've lost $200. If I go into Ethereum at $200 and I buy $10,000 worth, I bought 50 Ethereum. It goes down $10 per each one, which
Yeah.
is not uncommon with Ethereum. We're not going to talk about crazy
Yeah, yeah.
numbers. I've lost $500 compared to I've lost roughly $200, and that's where I get to the point of the numbers. Is the volatility of Bitcoin can usually go between $600 to $400 roughly, anywhere between $100 to $600 per coin. If I only own 2, that may be between $2 and $1,200. Ethereum can go 20 up, 20 down, 30 down. It can go up that, and I own 50 of them. You're talking about $1,500 compared to, between $800 and $1,500 versus my Bitcoin, which is $200 to $600.
But isn't that where you look at the longevity of the history?
Yeah, you
Growing?
can, but when I look at Bitcoin just in history,
so hard.
Yeah, when I look at Bitcoin history, I mean, just in history of like in a short term where I can pull out at any time into fiat,
Right.
where I feel like it's not going to jump between. It did jump recently a ton, but it jumped up.
So
But it doesn't correct and go down as much as Ethereum. And when you have Ethereum, you can lose 7,000 in a day if you have 200 or 300 of them.
it's very true. So thin markets like Neo is a thin market compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if someone wants to sell $50 million of their Bitcoin and they've been a holder forever, and they sell 50 million, which is a huge number in crypto land, if they sell 50 million Bitcoin, it might create a 5% change.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone sold a 50 million Neo all at once, it might create a 40% change. So a small amount of money, relatively speaking, can really affect these small guys way more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the least affected by because it's the biggest. And by big,
Yeah,
in terms of
market
people,
cap.
in terms of big for people who aren't in the game, Bitcoin, if you're to take a guess at the valuation in billions, well, anyways, it's $77 billion. So, like, if we were trying to raise $77 billion for our businesses, we never could.
Well, he referred to it as being the America of Bitcoins.
Yeah, the America of Bitcoin.
Okay.
About right. Yeah, Bitcoin's like the America of crypto. Yeah.
Yeah, crypto. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
like.
how do you? But you don't. But they're kind of. This whole industry was built to keep that from happening. From somebody
Right.
dominating it.
So right, the decentralization, as some
Yeah.
people refer to it, and also the anti-government
Right.
type of behaviors. So there's two things that go on in crypto land. There's the secret transfer of money, and Ethereum will have the secret transfer of money. I don't think Bitcoin can. I could be wrong.
They can't.
They can or can't?
Cannot.
Cannot. So Bitcoin can't do the secret transfer of money, but a lot of your other blockchains can, and Ethereum will be able to do the secret transfer of money in a short period of time. So this means no one could figure out how much money you ever made or spent with this secret transfer of money, which is, in terms of preventing taxation, it's nice if people...
It's a great feature for a currency to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So that's one like little decentralization. And then another thing that people talk about is who's in control. Now, a lot of people are, frankly, when it comes to blockchain space, there's always more control than people really like to believe, frankly. Like in the Bitcoin, which is the least centralized of the current form of currencies, it's still really dominated by maybe 50 people. Like there's a few miners who get maybe 60% of all the profits from mining, and the profits from mining are just enormous. And these people, once they get all their profits, they spend some of this money to influence Bitcoin. So, and Ethereum has some central control. Neo has some central control.
The biggest
they
thing
all
about
do, but some of them are moving away from it eventually.
The biggest thing is Bitcoin won't have this issue in the future. It won't have as much issue in the future once all the coins are mined. I
Right,
forget
yeah,
the
like
time.
like about 3 to 4 years,
Yeah.
3 to 7 years.
And that's when Bitcoin should shoot up. That's why I say you should be able to hold Bitcoin as a store of value, as a gold, because once the coins are mined, the supply is going to stay relatively the
Yeah.
same, which is exactly
7 years
the
from
same.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the same. 21
Exactly
days.
the same.
Yeah.
So therefore, people think that if I own 10 Bitcoin, maybe I'll be a millionaire in 10, 12 years,
Yeah.
because the price of Bitcoin may go 10, 20, 30, 40,000 as a store of value. Because when a government crashes, like in
Mhm.
Venezuela, this is where you got to
Yeah,
look
like
at political
Venezuela.
issues.
Yeah.
If the dollar, whatever the dollar is in Venezuela, I don't know what it is, their currency denomination. But if that starts crashing, you figure out I have a lot of money. Where should I put my cash? I can transfer it in Bitcoin into a value, a cross-border, borderless
Right.
coin.
Borderless
and then
coins.
it holds its value. Instead of me, I have 50 million Venezuelan denomination, and it's dropping and dropping, and it may go to zero. Instead of me being in poverty, I own a lot of Bitcoin now, and therefore, if I
Right.
just travel to Miami now, I'm good.
So,
Right.
so
You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
in terms
Or
of
anywhere
world
in the world.
politics, and I
Yeah.
won't get into it at the
Yeah, we're not
moment.
gonna get into it.
But so all currencies have some amount of waste or some amount of devaluation. Like the amount of a beer, I was talking with a friend of mine just because I think a lot of you might recall this, but it used to be pretty standard that beer was like 50 cents from the gas station.
Yeah.
You could get beer for 50 cents from the gas station, or like a 6-pack for $3. Now a 6-pack is $6, even for the basic crap beer. So, so the U.S. dollar, over the course of, let's call it 10 years, the U.S. dollar has lost about 50% of its value in terms of beer.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's a lot of ways to value the U.S. dollar: internet speed, rent, etc., etc. But some people, depending on how you look at it, but some people say the U.S. dollar has an inflation rate of 2%, or another way of saying it is that you lose 2% of the value of a U.S. dollar every year that you hold it. You hold $1, which equals one beer at one point, and then it's 98, and then it costs $1.02 to get a beer later. So in Venezuela, the inflation rate is roughly 1,000%. It's like crypto land. And so originally a beer cost you one Venezuela whatever, denare or something, and then a year later it costs you 10, and then a year later it costs you 100. It's really months. And like right now it's like we're wheelbarrows full of Venezuelan
And
dollars.
I've seen
to get you
this
food.
in real time because I was in Iraq. In Iraq,
Yeah.
their dollars,
It get crazy.
They would literally have to cart around a car full of fucking money to go
Really?
buy groceries.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
And then they'd have trash bags full of money to go
Really?
buy their
So,
groceries.
so
I can't imagine
actually,
cashing
I
your
will
savings
go.
like
I will
that.
go into finance a little bit because this is a fun subject. I think you guys are ready for some craziness here. So when you, so yeah, when you talk about finance, and when you talk about dollars, right? So governments have waste, and cryptocurrencies or blockchains have waste. The waste of the U.S. government in terms of dollars is figured at 2%. In terms of Venezuela, month to month, it's like 1,000% waste every month. So the inflation on the price of goods is insane. The price of goods is going up a lot and a lot and a lot. So when you have a coin that has 10%, which is kind of the market average for crypto, when you have coins that have 10% rates of inflation, then that is better than a lot of third world type of countries. Like by third world, I don't even really mean third world, but for example, I'll just say Venezuela. Clearly, the quicker you got rid of all your Venezuelan dollars and moved them into crypto, you just had infinitely more money at this point. And it's the same way in a lot of, like, let's just say rural or turmoil type of places. And that's 10%. That's roughly third world type of countries. Bitcoin has an inflation rate of 4%, which is really comparable to a lot of places. Like, let's just say, I'm making up ideas, but like maybe comparable to France, maybe comparable to Spain, maybe comparable to Mexico. And then once you get down to 2% or less inflation, then you start being better than the US, better than Great Britain, better than China, in terms of your ability to control your rate of inflation. So this is a big deal. So in terms of, this is something they talk about in theory in crypto space, right? So the world rate of inflation, GDP, depending on which corner of the world and which time you're looking at, it's roughly 5%. US GDP grows roughly 5% a year. And then if you're talking about a poor country escalating quickly, India is the best example. India grows at maybe 10% a year because all the people in India are going from making $1 an hour, let's just call it herding cows or whatever, $1 an hour to now they're making $40 an hour being IT support. So that's such a dramatic change, whereas in America you're going from like maybe 20 to 40 at best.
Right.
So America effectively could be like Bitcoin, and India could be like Neo, or whatever. These small startups have a little bit more potential for growth than the big boy. The idea that the American economy, let's just say, would double, and Mexico not change at all, is not very realistic.
If Bill Gates moved to a smaller, like, island nation,
He
he's
could
gonna
double
have,
it.
yeah, he's gonna influence their GDP a whole lot more than he would Americans.
And then,
Right.
so after we get on this, and then we're talking about
Sure.
kind of our crypto portfolios and how we're trying to manage our money. we're talking about what are we going to do with the money we make off Neo. So that's our next
Right,
question
right.
now, is to research this before it's time. We don't wait till we're going to
Yeah.
catch out Neo. We're looking at projects already. So the projects we got kind of going right now, we're looking at, and this will be further talks in the next week, so we'll all kind of divvy out, hey, you're going to look up this, you're going to look up this, you're going
Does
to
that
look up
sound good,
this.
Barrett?
Yeah.
And you just
Okay.
kind of look it up and you see my kind of points on Neo. You download the white paper. You guys can do this at home if you want. You download a white paper. You read everything about it. You pull out bullet points you think are good and bullet points that are bad. Most of these things are also, if they have a product, you also want to know these things. You want to know what's their dev team. Do some research on them. So when we look at these next projects, we're always like, I tend to look for passive income. That's kind of a good thing I like
Yeah, I
looking
like
at. I like looking at top 10 cryptos or top 20 cryptos according to market cap, because those are the less effective. Like Keller said, they can't be affected by big gains and big moves. They're easily safer. And then the last thing we're looking at, so we look at top 20 passive income, and we're looking for things that news that may make them a big mover. So projects we're looking into, there's 10x Pay. That's the one I've been looking into.
Yeah.
I really like 10x Pay.
Yeah.
There's a plus side to 10x Pay. 10x Pay is like a credit card, and
Yeah.
if you own the tokens, you actually get the you get an actual just increased cost, like the percent charged for a transaction fee. Everybody gets transaction fees entered in their wallet into 10x. As 10x goes up, you'll gain more money on 10x, and you'll also get paid for actually owning the 10x. That's passive income. The downsides are is you always got to look at how much the coins are now. How much can you get? How much are nodes, master nodes, or any of those things? And those are things that will guarantee you more pay. So how much does it cost me to own a master node or a node, depending on the crypto? And can I afford it at its rate now? If I can't afford it, I missed out. It happens. It's okay. You can also just own the crypto and gain what we're doing off Neo. We don't own any nodes. So 10x is looking, we're going to look into 10x. We're going to look into IOTA. That's Keller's deal.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
look into 10x. We got Sean over here.
Yeah,
You can
Sean,
look
which
into,
one you
you
gonna
can look
look
into NIM if he wants to, because I
I was-
don't know much
Well,
about
wait,
NIM.
wait,
and
okay,
Gnosis.
let's see what he say. I like the idea
Have
of
you
Yeah,
heard
dude.
of this
I'm sorry, I'm
OMG
gonna have
coin?
to take off.
Okay, yes.
Fine.
I
Okay,
got
yes.
a
Thank
show
you.
I got to do tonight.
Ah, it was nice
Hey,
talking
it's
to
a
you.
incredible Tiny
Yeah.
Home Show.
Yeah, same here.
Nice
man.
meeting you.
Nice
Amiga
meeting you,
Go.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Randy.
That's the
Wow.
one. I
I
thought
love
that's
what
the
you
one
guys are
Bill's
doing,
talking
man.
about, but he's
That's
not,
awesome.
right? Amiga
Yeah.
Go's
Yeah,
going.
thank you. I'll call you, okay?
Sound good?
So I'll be here
You
in the
can look
morning.
into Amiga
Yes.
Go.
See you in the morning.
Well, I don't know anything about it.
Okay,
I'll
this
choose
is
2 or 3.
this is the biggest thing about Amiga Go. This is why it's gone up. So it's gone up like
Is
20%.
this OMG?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why
I've not
did it
been
go
following
up?
'Cause
This
it's
is what
ticker.
happened. This is what.
Because it's what?
Of its ticker. OMG.
Oh, okay.
No, this is
Sorry.
what happened. Okay, so basically the OMG dev team met with Vitalik, took
Oh,
a
no, they
picture.
didn't.
They
Oh,
took
yes.
a picture with Vitalik. All
Yes.
right, which is totally fine. But they said they have big news that's about to be released.
Oh,
Most people
we don't know.
believe they're going to be able to use OMG for Apple Pay. Don't know if that's
Oh,
a big
shit.
thing or not. Don't
Right.
know if OMG is going to be worth that much because of Apple Pay. I don't know how much is bought and sold on Apple Pay. I'm sure it's a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you
Yeah.
invest in it as a currency to pay for apps and stuff on Apple. I mean, I
That's just
understand.
nuts. Well, see, the thing is, so people, their biggest concern is, can I sell my bitcoins for cash?
Correct.
Like if I buy cash, if I have cash, buy bitcoins. I know I can do that. The thing that people really are suspicious about is once I buy the bitcoins, will I be the last one who's not allowed to sell them for cash?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, can you get your money out? You
Yeah,
always
can you get your money out?
Yeah.
Can you get the money out?
Yes, you always
It's
can.
all-
Barrett, you know,
well,
you get your money
well,
out.
we just
Whenever
all
you want.
we just all hope. I mean, you just
It's
got
how
to
much
write them
money it's
letters
worth.
and
Yeah.
say, please give me my money, please.
I just gotta call customer support.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's
So,
easy. It's for the most part. It's
Talk
easy.
to one of those call
This
centers.
this did again. I don't know when the news breaks. If the news breaks, will it go up? It could be a quick buy and a quick sell.
I see.
And then that's what people are doing speculatively. It possibly could go up when this news hits.
So one thing I want to talk about with OMG and 10x versus IOTA and NIM. So whenever you're looking at IOTA, NIM, Neo, and Ethereum,
Yeah.
these guys are essentially in competition to some degree. These guys are all trying to develop a platform, and is trying to get things that are built on top of these platforms effectively.
Right.
And then there's other things which are business products. 10X is an example of a business product. OMG seems to be. I'm trying to think of another big one.
Tezos is his own business.
No. I'm trying to think of like a Batcoin.
Bat. Okay. Golem.
Yeah, Gollum
First
and
Blood.
stuff, and First Blood, see ya. Okay, so all these things, when you talk about business products, you want to think, one, is the product done or is it not? And generally speaking, it's not done.
Right.
So just kind of be aware with a business product type of coin, it effectively has no value until the product's done. And then the question is, how much does the product make? Like Etherroll is a great example. Etherroll was done immediately, and the product just makes 1% of whatever people spend on Etherroll, so people are able to calculate the value. But when you talk about Neo, Ethereum, and some of the others, the idea is that the product usually is completed already or mostly completed. The real question is, how many ICOs are you going to have? How many people are going to build their thing on top of your product?
Mm-hmm.
Your product's done, how many will build on top? Whereas business products tend to be, the product is not done, and the question is, once it is done, how quickly will you make a ton of money? So business product coins tend to have a much more varied outlook, whereas the platform type of coins have a more consistent outlook. That's the way I like to think about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and because they're basically trying to be operating systems. The platform.
Yeah, the
coins,
platforms are effectively operating systems.
and the other ones are more like actual software the end user's gonna
Like
put to-
QuickBooks
yeah.
or Excel or whatever. Yes.
put to use. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think that's a good analogy. Yeah, I guess. Do you really try to like just find one or two operating systems and then a bunch of products, or like what do you think is the best investment approach?
My personal opinion is to go with several operating systems.
Yeah.
Because what will most likely happen is that we will end up, rather than let's just pretend Microsoft and Apple taking over the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
What I personally think will happen is, for at least the next 5 years, is that we will have a swell of competition with several carving out a niche, and then after 5 years, maybe one starts to become way more dominant. Yeah, well, my assumption is that it'll be ETH, but I really don't know.
Yeah.
But I kind of think it'll be ETH long term. So one thing that, just to go back to Neo for a second, that Patrick talked about in terms of the dev team being able to cash out October 16th
Yeah.
for Neo. So something that's really different between Neo versus Ethereum. In Ethereum, the dev team spends roughly $20 million a year. It's a very relatively small sum of money compared to the $20 billion that they're in charge of managing. But in addition to that, they also have this $2 billion expense that's 99% wasted, effectively, or 90% wasted. Now with Neo, so investors must pay the 20 million plus the 2 billion to cover Ethereum's expenses every year as it is currently, which they're hoping to cut down to 0 a year from now, but we'll see if that actually happens. Now Neo, the way that they're doing it is, you will be, the dev team is effectively the only expense. So let's just pretend their dev team is going to go from 20 to 100 million. Let's just call it 100 million. So their expenses are for the next year, Neo's expenses are probably going to be roughly 10% of whatever Ethereum is spending. However, their dev team will probably become 2, 3, 4 times larger than Ethereum. Like what Patrick was mentioning, they can sell a whole bunch if they wanted to. 100 million is like, 1/10 of whatever Ethereum is selling every year in order to pay for their management expenses. But if Neo wanted to match Ethereum and do dollar for dollar, then their dev team, Ethereum dev team, is roughly 50 to maybe, it's 50 people. It's not really much more than 50 people, let's be honest here. Most of us in the crypto land know that the dev teams are incredibly small. 10 to 12 might be a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
But if Neo was to spend an equal amount of money as Ethereum, then their dev team would become like 1,000 people. And 1,000 people marketing, making new products, whatever, in terms of like trying to promote your platform, that makes waves. That makes moves. So, so that's what we'll kind of see in the Ethereum versus Neo versus Bitcoin versus IOTA versus Tezos versus the others is who is the most efficient at taking your expenses and pushing it toward things that improve the long-term quality of your product, which a lot of people they associate it with dev teams.
Yeah.
This is how they feel the long-term product is created. Now, Ethereum has created a long-term value by partnering with basically every major corporation in the Western world, and some in Russia and China, but every major corporation. And so that creates a long-term value because people can't, if I'm the president of Toyota, it's hard for me to say that I'm going to be working with Ethereum and Neo and IOTA and Bitcoin. It just sounds like you're working with any person off the street. So these corporate worlds are less interested in blockchain on the whole. They just want something that works. And so Ethereum is effectively trying to be the one that works for business effectively.
Even though Neo is going to make it compatible,
Well, so
like, wouldn't you want to be on Android and iOS if you could, kind of thing?
yeah, sorta. No, I would say sorta, not really.
Okay.
Because there's the trading aspect, like me and you.
Right.
We want to be on Neo and Ethereum and all the others.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was building internal programs to use in-house, which is the majority of blockchain space long-term
Mhm.
for business use, if I'm building a program in-house, I'm just going to pick one. Hey, everybody has to have Windows, no Macintosh in my business units.
Yeah.
Everybody's using Excel or DOS or QuickBooks. I'm not going to use QuickBooks Peachtree and Plains, Microsoft Plains. So for internal blockchain, they're just going to pick one, and business has been lining itself up for Ethereum, not with any of the others as far as I know. So that creates some long-term value for Ethereum because businesses are slow to change. What is more likely, let's pretend if Ethereum was to fuck up and business was to become unhappy with Ethereum, business would just take it over. They don't accept failure. Failure's not even close to an allowed option in the international business world. Give us your shit or fix it.
Do you think the development team would kind of like welcome them, or do you think they'd be standoffish, kind of like the Bitcoin team has with Bitmain? Or?
No, Ethereum has welcomed them open arms.
That's what I thought.
They encourage it big time.
They need the help, and they know it.
Well, depending on the reason.
Right.
Depending on the reason, but
Scalability and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say I largely agree with them. I am not. I know a lot of people are anti-bank, anti-business, anti-government. I think my personal opinion is that Vitalik has the more correct view, which is better bank, better government, better business.
Right.
That's just the way. Like Vitalik and I have similar lineup.
Don't burn the whole thing down yet. We can still.
Yeah, no need to burn shit down.
We can
just make
reorganize
something
it, use it
better, persuade people to join your team, and then you win.
Sounds good. Anything?
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right,
Anything
well,
else?
good stuff. Good meeting. All right, I hope somebody learned something. Thanks. Bye.